Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's doing well. Luna and I are out here on our morning walk and she's just seen a squirrel, but I'm not going to let her off because... Alright Luna, good girl. So I wanted to do this video about stories, about how we make up stories about ourselves. Stories about how some things are difficult and some things are easy. You know, we all have these stories that we make up and that we tell ourselves all the time. I've done it, I still do it. I have to be very conscious of what I'm telling myself all the time. You know, things like, oh, what this person is like, if I like that person, if I don't like that person, if I like a certain thing, if I don't like a certain thing. You know, all of these are stories that I've told myself or that we tell ourselves. And the thing is that most of the time, it's not the fact that we don't like something or don't like someone. It's about our preferences, the stories that we've made up about our own preferences to things. What that's about fundamentally is us being the centre of our own world. And in an essence, you might think that's a very negative thing to say, but us being the centre of our own world is negative. And it can be very challenging for people or triggering. Okay, this is interesting. Someone is shouting. I don't know if you can hear it on the camera, but I'm just going to let it run. Now, if she shouts going by the dog, could be interesting. See? Now that was interesting, and what it was she's actually got headphones on, and I think she must be listening to like an online prayer service, because even though she's talking in an African dialect, it sounds like a type of worship that she was shouting. So there we go, that was something a little bit more exciting on the talk. But thankfully she didn't shout "Go by Luna," because I think Luna might have thought that she was trying to attack me or something, which thankfully she didn't. So anyway, we'll get back into the talk. I was talking about that it can be very challenging for people to be told, you know, that they are the centre of their own world, because we always try to look outside to blame something or someone else. And when someone tells you, you know, you're not the centre of your own world, that can be triggering, and it can make people angry. You know, I've had it myself in the past, but I've realised that when I looked at things in a certain way, I basically was wanting things my way, my preferences, and I was kind of stuck in that. You know, we don't like to admit that we are responsible for the majority of things that happen to us and things that happen in our lives. It's just the very rare occasion that something will come into your life that's totally out of the blue, and random. But most other things, if you really look at them, we have played a big part in that coming towards us. We don't like to admit to ourselves and to others that maybe we are the problem and our thinking is the problem. It can be very, very challenging for people to do that because it requires us to take responsibility and it requires us to change. And most people fear change, and unfortunately, they would rather keep the story going. I've talked quite a lot about choices on the channel throughout most of my videos because I think it's something that's very important to drive home about the fact that we all have choice every moment, every day. We have a choice to accept or reject something. There's never, ever, ever a time when we don't have a choice. Everything that happens to us in one way or another is related to our own intentions. If our thoughts are negative, then that's what we will attract. If we can shift our thinking to positive and loving thoughts, then that is what will start to come towards us. And even sometimes when people try to do this, they get frustrated because they start to control the process. They want it to happen now. They don't want to wait. And then they give up and go back because it hasn't happened fast enough. And then they tell themselves the story. It's a helicopter flying over by. Then they tell themselves the story and justify it by saying, oh, that was a load of rubbish. It wasn't working. After maybe only doing it for a few weeks or even a couple of months, depending on how long you've been running these programs, will depend on how much work you're going to have to put up to reset it again. People will go back and they will go, that's a load of rubbish, and I'm just going to go right back into my wee program again because I felt safe there, and I knew exactly what my story was and how to work it because I've been doing it for years. And then they're stuck in that mindset and it becomes like a sort of an addiction, just like you get addicted to anything else. You become addicted to your story and to your thinking patterns. But unfortunately, that does not excuse us from the situation. The outcome that you desire is what it will be. And we choose those outcomes regardless of whether you want to think that change is stupid or change is unrealistic or change is too hard. It doesn't matter. Your intentions will just keep on creating and creating those outcomes. And you sort of become your own self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, sometimes we run these stories and we do it, as I just talked about, willingly, where we just don't want to put the work in and we go back because we feel somehow unrealistically that it's better because you know it. But there's other times when we do it unknowingly because we don't have the knowledge or understanding to change. It's like that thing where if you've made a mistake in the past, you've made the mistake because you didn't know there was another way at the time. And then what happens is you learn, hopefully, from that mistake. You gain the knowledge then and the understanding, and you don't make it again. And also, you're able to help someone else who's going through that as well. And if you have someone that can help you before you make that mistake, that makes a huge difference, because unfortunately a lot of us have to learn the hard way, either through making the mistake and our life is in chaos for a while, or we're living in fear and our life is in chaos anyway. So if you meet someone who's already had that and they give you that pearl of wisdom as to how to get through something, it makes life so much easier. If we decide that we don't want to change, then we won't change and nothing will change. Your life will carry on the way it is. You'll run that pattern, and whatever you're running in your thought pattern, that'll just keep coming into your life. But if you decide to make the change and that you're sick to death of running that old pattern, then you'll start to see new things. You know, as Shakespeare said, the world is a stage and we are all actors on that stage. And that is such a great quote for what I'm talking about. You know, and basically what he's meaning is we're all actors playing roles in a story that we have created. We have made up a storyline in our play, and we are acting, putting a costume on and acting that role out along with other people who think the way we do, and we're all taking part in that drama. But when we start to see that and start to change and stop giving our power away to these types of stories, take off the costume, let go of the story, create something new, change, move towards motivating ourselves out of that place of fear of change and into an acceptance of change. We could place all that motivation that we've been giving to the story towards responsibility for ourselves, responsibility to say to oneself, I deserve happiness, I deserve abundance, I deserve love, I deserve health, I deserve good relationships, I deserve prosperity, I deserve self-love and self-care, and I don't need to tell a story anymore. Who I am is enough. I don't need to put on a costume and play a role for myself or for anyone else. And that the main thing that I need to do from now on is to focus on my own self-belief in myself and to change my self-belief in the world. That from today, I no longer have to have a story. I no longer have to have a preference about liking this person, not liking that person, liking this, not liking that. That I can have an acceptance of all of these things because I no longer have a story. So until next time, have a great day and take care.